Hi, Ben here, and welcome back to another Work in Progress Wednesday. So today there's been lots going on, lots of blades getting finished. We've also done a batch of carving tools that are all heading out to some avid spoon carvers, so hopefully you'll be all whittling away at the weekend. And we've just finished off this special set that has actually got to head out to Canada. But before it went out, I thought it'd be great to show you because each one has got different grinds on there, and I thought it'd be a sort of opportunity to show you the different grinds and the pros and cons basically. So we've just finished off this pretty impressive set. It's pretty much everything that you would need to go out into the bush. So we've got one of our Orford E-band parangs. So this is in the 80 CRV2, which is in 4mm stock. And what we do with the E-band style parang is we actually do a sort of duplex grind almost, because what we end up with is we end up with a Scandinavian grind for that first couple of inches near the handle. And what that gives you is a typical Scandi grind, which will be great for when you're choking up the tool, for preparing feather sticks, if you're doing any kind of intricate carving, for making triggers for traps and things like that. But then it gets turned into a convex grind or an apple seed grind. So a convex grind is the kind of grind that you would have on any kind of impact tool, whether it be an axe. Obviously in this instance, we've got it on a parang, and it's a symmetrical grind. So it's the same grind on both sides. So it's not handed in any way, but that convex grinds give you a very incredibly sharp cutting edge, which will slice through brush and branches and things like that. But because it's got that sort of convex shape, you've got extra thickness within the center of that grind, which gives you a lot of strength basically. So you've got the perfect combination of a sharp edge, strength, and also the ability that the convex grind doesn't get wedged into a piece of wood. So if you're swinging it and chopping into timber, it sort of doesn't get wedged basically. It allows that blade to sort of pass through and come out of the timber really easily. So having two grinds on one tool is always handy, and obviously that's your big sort of workhorse for building shelters and things like that. So that's one of our Orford E-band parangs. So the same chap wanted a sort of matching Woodlander, slightly different. We've gone for the same handle material as the parang, so we've gone for green canvas micarta. There's no liners on these, so they're just blasted green canvas micarta for grip and functionality. But slightly different grind to what we normally put on our Woodlanders. This is what we call a Scandi Vex. So it's not a truly flat Scandi grind. This has actually been ground on the same rotary platen that we put the convex grind on the parangs with. And what it gives you is a very slightly convexed Scandi. So same scenario really, it gives you the ability that it will have less sort of hump at the back edge of the Scandi. So if you are sort of using it for slicing cuts, it has this ability to sort of turn in the cut. So it makes it slightly slicier, makes it slightly sharper for if you're using it in conjunction for woodcraft, but also maybe a bit of food prep and things like that. And it also brings the grind slightly higher up as well. So it does give a slightly finer edge, but because it's got that sort of convex sort of center to the grind, it does give it a little bit of extra strength. So just in comparison, I'll show you my true Scandi grind. So this is the same stock thickness. This is 3mm thick ABL stainless, but you can see the Scandi Vex versus my true flat Scandi. It's a slightly higher grind, slightly wider grind, so therefore being slightly finer. So probably be great for feather sticks and things like that. Now, I really like the AEBL purely because you've got something that is a totally weatherproof knife. So if you are going to be using that in very wet environments, or you're going to be using it for a lot of food prep and you want to be able to clean it, put it in your bowl of washing up water and actually clean it, the AEBL is absolutely great for that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what this chap gets on with out in the wilds of Canada, and see how he gets on with his Scandi Vex grind on that one. And then as a little extra, he asked me whether we could make one of our trekkers. So this is actually one of our 3-inch trekkers. This is the slightly bigger model, so it's got actually more of a full-size handle to it. And then normally what we do on these is we put a Scandi grind, But this gentleman actually wanted me to put a more universal grind so that he'd be able to use it as like a backup blade, but primarily for food preparation. So what we've put on this one is a full flat grind, and then obviously it's got this slight small secondary bevel. So that's what you get with a flat grind. Some people will call it a saber grind. Very different to the Scandi grinds, because obviously you're removing a lot more material from the actual blade stock. So the whole blade is like a wedge, basically. You don't end up with that sort of thick body of metal that you have with a Scandi grind. So if you are using it for food preparation, for skinning, things like that, you're going to end up with a very fine edge that's going to cut very readily. Obviously, with this narrow bevel, this secondary bevel, it can sometimes be a little bit trickier to maintain that sharpening angle, but obviously you have only got to remove very little amount of material. So if you're out in the field and you're using it for maybe cutting up something, like maybe you're dressing out a deer and you hit some bone and things like that and you damage the edge, you can then quickly and easily remove those burrs because you're only removing a very narrow piece of steel. So yeah, the flat grind is great for sort of food preparation and things like that, really. And just a general purpose knife, so cutting string and things like that. Obviously the little Trekker is a skeletonized knife, so it has a very simple cord wrapped handle which you can take off and you can use for other bushcraft needs. So say you need to make an improvised shelter and you need some cordage to maybe hold the ridge line up, you've got that. And also you've got some paracord if you need to make a bow drill set, things like that. So it's like a real useful little backup blade, but also a perfect little survival blade. So these have all got Kydex sheaths. Obviously the Trekker itself lends itself really nicely for net carry, so that can be worn inverted underneath your waterproof, so you've always got that blade, especially if you're canoeing and things like that. So it's going to be underneath your waterproof, underneath your buoyancy aid, so you've always got that knife that will basically cope with a complete dunking, really, if you do actually capsize. And then this one has got a nice OD green Kydex sheath. And then a few people have been asking what kind of belt systems we put on there. The hole spacing that we put on the Kydex sheaths will allow you to mount it with a tech lock, moly loops. I really like these Scandi droppers that we put on there. These are made from soft webbing strap, and then I make these brackets out of Kydex themselves as well. So they're all interchangeable. You can pretty much pick and choose as you want to go. So that one's got that nice green one, so obviously a bit more subdued. And then this one has got a full-blown Kydex sheath for the parang. This is in Hunter Orange. Now the sheaths themselves will have a really good locking fit to them anyway, but we put this little extra little retention strap on there just for when you're actually walking around in the woods and things like that. And that's got that same soft sort of nylon belt loops sort of setup to it as well, really. So a pretty impressive setup. I'm looking forward to seeing some shots of these actually out in the wilds of Canada. But yeah, rather than them just go in a little bag and get shipped across the globe without you seeing what we've been up to, I thought it'd be great to see those different grinds. And obviously, if you want those grinds putting on some of your tools, then obviously get in contact and we should be able to sort you out. But that's what I've been working on this Wednesday. Hope you've enjoyed seeing what we've been up to. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we will see you next week.